Once upon a time, two friends joined forces to bring you the best in horror entertainment. Brian from the north, Tim from the south, each bringing their own unique perspective to the horror community. Movie reviews, Blu-ray releases, beer pairings, games, and more. Welcome to your new home for horror. This is Civil Gore.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 247 of the Civil Gore Podcast. I am your host, Tim.
And this is Brian. And we have a interesting show today. It's going to be about interesting because I think it's a movie that's gotten a lot of popularity. And it's this year, I have to say, 2022 has been a great year for horror. And this is definitely, I think, we're going to talk about the movie Smile. And I think that's one of the biggest hits of the year by far. And so it's like, and it seems like these kind of movies are just coming out left and right now. And don't you think, it does seem like horror is better than ever right now?
Yeah, I think we're living possibly through a new golden age of horror. We look back on, like, what we think of as the golden age of horror was like the 80s and all the slashers and stuff. But I think, in terms of like genuine quality horror movies, I don't know that we've ever seen this amount of high quality horror movies in ever.
Yeah,
maybe ever.
Yeah, I have to say I think Shudder is a big part of it. I know we've been singing your praises since the beginning of this podcast, but if you think about how many movies we've seen that are like Shudder originals or Shudder exclusives, and they turn out to be some of the best horror movies. And then, now that, when something like that happens, other venues, for lack of a better word, have to step up their game. So we're getting a lot of good theatrical horror movies now that are going out there. We're getting a lot of movies that each individual streaming service is now getting on themselves. And, and I think it just becomes there's so much content out there for horror fans now. It's crazy. It's one of by far, think of what we got just off the top of my head. between the, Scream, right, in the beginning of the year. We got Terrifier 2, we got Barbarian, we got Smile, we got X and Pearl. Literally, it's like...
And those are like the mainstream ones. Those are not like your Shudder, if you're into Shudder and stuff like that. A lot of great films. And then foreign films like The Hatching and then you think about all the great...
Was Titan last year? Or was that... Yeah, I think that was technically last year.
I think that was last year.
But still,
then you got all these directors.
Yeah.
You got Jordan Peele. You've got
Robert
Nope,
Eggers.
Or you got Ari Aster. You got James Wan. You got Mike Flanagan. You got tons of good Ty West. My God, the amount of quality horror directors right now is insane.
Plus movies like Symphony, right, where you get that anthology of a whole bunch of horror directors that decided to get together and make through that clubhouse. We've had the advantage of getting to talk to a lot of these people, so we even find out a little bit more. But it is pretty crazy that and I have now people coming up to me that I didn't even think were horror fans and say, "Hey, did you see this?" Someone came up to me, I did with work, they said, "Oh, did you see Smile?" Or my sister-in-law I was talking to, she's like, "I keep hearing about this Barbarian. I want to see it." And I'm like, "Oh, you got to see it." I'm like, "Go in blind, but go see it. Go watch it." And I think the fact that there's so many streaming services and they're coming fast to it, so the people that missed it in the theater are now getting that second life much faster. It's just it's horror is becoming very mainstream again. And there's only more stuff to come. Think of we had a new Hellraiser this year, right? We had a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre this year. Now, and we're not even touching on. Think about it. They're fan films that people are creating that are starring original cast members now. These aren't just fan films that people are making in their backyard. They're making full budget fan films that could be part of the actual franchise.
Yeah, I'm sure that technology's helped a lot there because now cameras are so cheap. High quality.
People can film it on their iPhone.
You can film it on your phone.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah,
so,
But anyway, yeah. So we got a little off tangent there, but yeah, that's what I meant to say. Why this is an interesting area because we're now, I feel like a lot of times we used to be scraping for maybe some more obscure movies or more Shudder movies or older movies. But now it's I feel like there's so many new things that people want to talk about and people want to hear about. I feel like almost our movies that we're picking are shifting a little bit.
I can't even keep up.
Yeah.
I really honestly can't keep up with the amount. We get sent so many screeners that it's hard to keep up with the amount of screeners we get. And I'm telling you, we don't get bad screeners.
No,
I mean,
we've
90% of them are like great films.
Yeah,
it's just insane.
And that's not even counting all the Shudder ones they give us, because Shudder ones just we get sent automatically essentially, and those are tough because now they're sending them so early that like I've watched them. Like there's one, I'll mention it in our first chop. There's one I watched. And I can't really discuss it. I'm just going to say that I watched it, but I can't discuss it yet because the embargo is not until like December 19th or something like that.
Yeah. And I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to the release of that one.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll get right into it because we got a very hefty first chop. All right, Brian, you watched a bunch of movies, and I actually watched some of these as well, so we could kind of tag team.
Yeah, I figured that's why I wanted to include most of these. Let's get the non-horror one out of the way, I guess.
Okay, yeah.
So, and that's a Christmas Story Christmas, which I know we've mentioned on this show before, so it's not like it's that far out of the realm. But and by the way, the Zach Ward, the one who plays Scott Farkas, he actually is a Civil Gore follower on Twitter, which is kind of fun.
Trivia question that or a piece of trivia I pointed out to Olivia while we were watching.
Yeah, so I mean that's
he follows us on Twitter.
Yeah, and he followed us first.
Yeah,
and that was back way early on.
Cool
I remember because he does have some horror cred. He was in Freddy vs. Jason. So, but I mean, so this movie to me was I mean. It kind of came out of, like, I had heard they were planning it a couple of years back. I think I heard some rumors of it, and I just thought it was going to be one of these things that never was going to come to be, But once then I think earlier this year when I actually saw, like, oh my God, this is actually coming out, and then the trailer hit, and I knew this was real, I was so excited because this movie has a lot of sentiment. The original had a lot of sentimentality in two different facets. Like one, my best friend Mark and I, was a movie that we used to watch repeatedly, and we had a whole bunch of lines that we'd crack up at and repeat constantly, almost like you and I do with Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. But then also, my family, good Jewish family that we are, had a good tradition of every Christmas Eve watching. My brothers and I would watch A Christmas Story. So. And this was before TBS would end up running at 24 hours, It's like I had it on VHS, then I had it on, that old, like, clamshell plastic giant VHS. And then I got it on DVD, and then I upgraded to Blu-ray. So it's like, I've had it in every form possible. So when this was coming out, I mean, I was super excited, and I thought that, I'm like, okay, this could be a major disappointment or a major award.
I was not looking forward to it because of A Christmas Story 2, which came out a few years ago, which was a direct sequel to Christmas Story where Ralphie's a teenager. He wants, instead of a BB gun, he wants a car.
Yeah,
and it was so disappointing because
horrible.
None of the actors were convincing as the originals. Obviously,
I mean, it had Daniel Stern, right? That was about the only
Yeah. But the problem I had with it was that they just recycled every joke from the first movie.
Yeah,
and it was just painful and cringy to watch, and I hated every minute of it. I watched it once. I will never watch it again, probably.
Yeah, I was actually toying with watching it again, just because I'm like, maybe I'll watch all of them, like all the ones, including like A Summer Story, even though it's not Christmas, which actually is, that one wasn't as bad, but that also, of course, has an appearance by our now good friend Whit Hertford as the bully in it. He plays like the version of whatever. He's not Scott Farkas, but like that villain, the nemesis that Ralphie has. But like, so this one had a lot of pressure. And I remember I saved it. I'm like, I'm gonna watch it on the plane out to California when I'm going. I'm saving it. I downloaded it. I'm like ready to go. And I saw a lot of people feel the same way I did. To me, I was blown away on how much I liked it. And it's like, and it had every potential to disappoint me based off of my build up for it, my excitement for it, how much the originals mean to me. And I thought they did such an amazing job. I thought, Peter Billingsley, just like he captured that young Ralphie in his current age.
He
so
did
well.
He was still Ralphie,
right?
And that's what he was the heart of the movie.
Yeah,
it was what I was hoping for when I heard he was going to be back for this one. I thought, okay, maybe this won't suck because maybe he will bring the heart of the movie back, and he totally 100% did.
Right? I mean, like, everything. And it's weird to see, because you're like, now you got this Ralphie, like, and he's, he's older, and, and I love that he was, was trying to be a writer in this, when he wrote his whole, like, terrible thing about, like, the first one where he writes that, he has to write that little essay on, like, why he wants a Christmas present, and it's so awkward, and now he literally becomes, like, a writer. It's like, I mean, I will say, I even got, like, choked up towards the end, like, in the end credits. Stay through the end credits if you haven't seen it yet, because they show pictures of, like, this movie compared to the original, and, it's just, like, it captured the same, like, emotional punches that the original one had, in a way. Yes, it's a comedy first, but it also had so many, like, sentimental moments to it, and they found a way to give you that all again. I know it's probably some people will be disappointed in it, because people seem to find something wrong with everything. But I was reading a lot of IMDb reviews, and we were just talking about this in an interview the other night. Like, if you get anything positive on IMDb these days, it's a win. And I mean, I think it was around 7 points when I looked at it, 7 out of 10. But like all the reviews I was reading, like the comments, people were like, "Oh my God, it was like I was brought back to a kid again." And the same thing I felt. So I'm like, okay, I can't be, they did it right. I wasn't imagining.
I was actually in a movie thread talking to some people about it, because a thread about it, and I was one of the first people in the thread to watch it, because everybody was like, "This is gonna suck. I'm gonna hate this." And I came back and I said, "I'm taking one for the team. I'm going to watch this tonight." I came back and I said, "Guys, it's not a bad movie. It's really, actually really good. And, it's got a lot of heart and everything." And they were like, so people slowly started giving it a try, and like to a T, every single one of them came back and said, "You are right. This was a great movie." And I will say that my little story about the history with A Christmas Story is kind of weird, because I watched this. This came out when I was 9 years old, the original. I saw this somehow. I'm assuming maybe on HBO, because I never saw it in the theater.
Yeah, cable played it a lot.
Yeah,
when we were
so
younger.
I saw it on TV on HBO or something. Did not know what it was. I only years later, and I had seen bits and pieces. Years later, I remembered this movie, and all I remembered was a kid getting pushed down a slide by this wicked Santa Claus. I had like this vivid image in my mind. And maybe one other scene, and it haunted me. This movie absolutely haunted me. I did not know what it was. All I remembered was this creepy scene with the Santa Claus, and it's something about a BB gun. The movie haunted me for years. I didn't know. I had no clue what it was. I mean, you got to think, but this is back. There's no internet.
Yeah, you
there was
couldn't
nothing.
like Google it, saying
you couldn't
Santa
Google it. You
Claus
couldn't
movie
stream
with
it. Yeah,
kicking down the slide. Yeah.
You couldn't stream it unless you just happened to catch it on TV. You wouldn't know what it was.
Yeah.
So I didn't see this movie again, and probably until I was a teenager. And all of a sudden, it was like, "Oh my God, this is that movie that has been like haunting me for all these years." So it became really special after that. And I've watched it probably every year since I was a teenager.
Yeah, and it's funny. There was something you said about Christmas Story 2, why it was so bad, because they recycled every joke in it. But I think this one, they kind of, they rehashed a lot of things too. But with it being the same cast essentially, and being it done it like in a perfect timed way, like even little nuances, I think that's why it worked. Like, for example, when the Ralphie's kids are waiting online for Santa, they get this annoying kid with the lollipop, just like Ralphie had that annoying kid with the weird like aviator, like the old school aviator like head gear and stuff, and like little things like that, or like how they went to get the tree and there was this problem, like all the little things.
Yeah. But it wasn't like, if you've watched Christmas Story 2, they literally rehashed the entire joke.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
it was that one was
almost identical. Whereas in this one, when they, I don't even want to call it a rehash, but when they called back to those earlier jokes, they did it in a different enough way that it didn't feel like they were ripping off their own movie.
Right.
It felt like an homage. It felt like a sense of respect for it. Like, we're going to mention this callback because it's a part of this. We're showing it's a bit of nostalgia. I don't know how to explain it, but it feels more like it's the difference between Christmas Story 2 felt like a cash-in ripoff of those old jokes, whereas this felt like a loving homage to those old jokes.
Right.
Like like from fans that say, "Hey, this is we're doing these jokes out of respect.
Yeah, and it captured the whole like heart of the original. Everything. It mattered. It did everything I hoped it would, and even some more. And I have to say, so like obviously Melinda Dillon could have been in it, but she retired from acting, so they replaced her with Julie Haggerty, who I thought was still great because Julie Haggerty is just great in everything. I mean, she
did a fantastic.
All,
yeah, she did a fantastic job. And I mean, I've always loved her since Airplane.
Who doesn't love Julie Haggerty for God's
sake?
But
but I thought she did I thought she filled in wonderfully. I thought she was hilarious, especially the whole Christmas Carolers sequence.
Oh yeah, just like little things like that, and they even had the cool Ralphie dream sequences where he would like things would if he made it the wrong decision, how things would go the wrong way, and and like even the fact that like they had Flick and Schwartz still like this fun rivalry, it's like so I think anyone that's hesitant to see it, don't be hesitant. Go watch this. I mean, because I think you will I think you will be pleasantly surprised, and if that movie, the original, had meaning to you, this should be a perfect accompaniment.
Yeah, it's made for fans. It's not made to be a cash-in. This was a genuinely lovingly made movie for fans.
Yeah, I mean, and tell me though, did you not get a little choked up there at the end?
Absolutely.
The last 10 minutes, including the credits, you're like,
And it's also a loving tribute to Darren McGavin.
Right, who is just one of my favorite actors anyway. And so and it's just it definitely give that a chance. But
and this has been the Christmas Story podcast.
Yes, I know.
Your host, Tim and Brian.
A civil story. Yeah. But let's go on to some more horror stuff. But it's kind of funny. This next movie we're going to touch on is kind of a little bit in the same vein, as Tim and I were both Munsters TV fans of the TV show we loved. Growing up as a kid, I always watched it. I loved it. And, we were both hesitant about the Rob Zombie thing. It didn't look like it was going to be good. And, Rob Zombie seems to sometimes take things and he tries to get in such a weird way, and he puts all his friends and his wife in it. And, there's always that potential to do it, but I have to say I was pleasantly surprised. I actually really enjoyed it. I was like, and I think it was because I separated enough from when it came out to when I actually watched it. I think enough time had passed, and I kind of forgot about it. And then I'm like, oh, you know what? I never watched this. And I think I was like, I was on weird, time zone change. So I was up at like 5 a.m. at California time. And I'm like, I can't go back to sleep. I'm tired. Let me just pop on a movie. But, within an hour and a half, people start getting up anyway because they get up early. And, so I'm like, you know what? Let me pop on this. Oh, this is a good time frame. I'll watch The Munsters. And you know what? I actually liked it. I mean, was it a perfection? Not even close. But, I thought Sherry Moon Zombie, who I was afraid was going to be just abysmal. I thought she did a good job as Lily. I mean, she it was, like Tim said, what did you say? Like almost like a over the top, spot on like impersonation.
Well, yeah, I thought I wasn't as crazy about her performances, but I'll give my impressions in a minute. Go, just continue.
Yeah. No, I thought she did good. I thought Daniel Roebuck's grandpa was awesome. I thought that was great. I thought he did that one great. Richard Brake, as with that Count character, cracked me up. Every line he said, pretty much, I thought he was great. But he's so good. He's like one of my new kind of favorites. Like I'll watch it if he's in it, kind of thing. And of course he was so great in Barbarian too. And I thought like the Herman was like at times great and at times off. So he wasn't consistent enough to me. But I think overall, that the feel of the movie was kind of fun. Like, I think it's meant to just be super, super campy. And if you don't like that, then I don't think Rob Zombie cared. I don't think he made it for anyone but himself, kind of, in a way. But I have to say, I did not. I thought I was going to hate it, and I ended up really enjoying it.
Yeah, I definitely didn't hate it. I don't know that I super enjoyed it either, but I didn't hate it. It's a weird movie because the movie's kind of a mess structurally. I mean, it's all over the place. It almost makes no sense in terms of just the narrative structure of this thing, and it's long. It was really long for what it is. But if you look at it as just like this campy throwback, I mean, the sets are beautiful.
Yeah.
It has some really cool sets. It's kind of a mishmash of just scenes plopped together, but once you accept that, it actually becomes pretty entertaining, and I don't know how to explain it, but it's almost like it's a mess of a movie, but it's kind of a good mess.
Yeah, if I found myself entertained.
Yeah,
yeah. Like, I mean, there were some really funny moments. Like, I think when they moved into the neighborhood, like Cassandra Peterson was there, in her role in there. I think that whole sequence was pretty funny. But again, it was like you didn't quite know what was, why this plot was going this way. It's a very simple plot. Is basically it's basically an hour and 40 minutes of how Herman and Lily met and ended up on 1313 Mockingbird Lane. That's essentially the plot. That's it.
But it's just a whole bunch of scenes to get there, like a lot of extraneous stuff. But at the same time, that extraneous stuff is kind of entertaining and charming. But
I did like Herman's origin story of why he's such a goofball. It's like Richard
that was
Brate's
pretty
character
good.
actually had like the perfect thing best in mind, and like that was kind of funny twist.
I'm usually one that doesn't like Rob Zombie's obsession with knowing every detail about the origins of characters.
Yeah,
Michael Myers. But in this case, it actually really worked. But I liked Herman Munsters. I like that he was different enough that he wasn't trying to do a complete impersonation. And Grandpa was easily the best of the core cast. I mean, he was brilliant. The problem I had with Sherry Moon as Lily was I thought she was almost too spot on. Like, she didn't bring much of anything else to the character other than I called her like a cosplay of Lily Munster, but like constant. It was like somebody that you know what she reminded me of? She reminded me of like if you went to a party and somebody said, "Hey, so and so does a really good impression of Lily Munster." And then that person does it, and then they just keep doing it the rest of the party. And to the point it just grates on your nerves, and you're like, just stop it already. Like, you're so annoying. By the end of this movie, I was so annoyed that every time Lily came on the screen, I seriously wanted to turn it off. It was bugging the hell out of me.
See, it's funny because I was like saying, I kind of said like she was in a lose-lose situation though. If she did it so off, people would be slamming her for it. If she did it spot on, people are slamming her for it.
Which is a perfect case why she should have never been cast in the freaking movie, because she can't win. I mean, I don't know why he has to cast his wife. I would not cast Olivia in every movie I made. I'm sorry, I just wouldn't. I don't.
I mean, I definitely did not mind her. I didn't get to that point.
For the role.
I didn't like get cringe every time I saw her on. I think because I expected her performance to be so bad that like it surprised me that it was as good as it did.
I think that sums up this whole movie. Like, everybody expected this to be so bad that when it wasn't terrible, everybody was like, well, I guess it's okay.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not really like a good, like, if you think about it as a movie, that should never be your goal. Like, we're gonna make a movie that people are gonna think is so bad that they'll end up liking it.
I know that's what it is. But
it's definitely a weird goal to have for a movie.
It's just okay. I will say that, and I've read this in other reviews, so I'm not claiming the originality of this, but I don't think the movie knows who it was targeted for. If you targeted this for children, they don't know who the hell the Munsters are. Right. I think it works on some level for that, but not in a lot of ways. If you target it for people who grew up with the show like me and Brian did, there's a lot of alienation there in other aspects of the movie that doesn't quite work. I mean, again, it seems like a movie that was made just for Rob Zombie's own personal delight, which is nothing wrong with that. It's a movie that doesn't really have a good target audience, and I think that's where it gets a little weird. But if you can just kind of go in with an open mind, there's a lot to like here. There's a lot of good characters. There's a lot of good, a lot of good set design. There's a lot of good campy humor. It's very campy humor, so you got to like that kind of stuff. Of course, obviously, if you've listened to this podcast for any length of time, you know me and Brian are all about campy humor. So that wasn't a problem, but I don't know. It's a very, very strange movie to sum up, but I did not hate it. Yeah. I would recommend you watch it, even if you're on the fence. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's on Netflix, so you can. Yeah, it's easy to watch. And it's funny because it's like I like that they snuck in like the available cast from the original that could be in there in cameos. Like Butch Patrick had that little scene, and then Pat Priest was the voice of on the airline. And actually, her and Dee Wallace, both of them. It's funny that Dee Wallace
the cameos were great,
snuck in there. Yeah, and then of course Cassandra Peterson, aka Elvira, was in there, and she had a funny role. I thought she was perfect. It's funny though. It's because it's kind of like. I was comparing it to almost like the way they did the Beverly Hillbillies, where they kind of, remakes. When a movie takes from a TV, there's only ways you can go. You can either like make it back at the time it's supposed to be in and just redo it, or you take the same thing but kind of modernize it. Like there was the Beverly Hillbillies kind of did that, like they modernized it. To the current times, and the Brady Bunch kind of did that, where they kept the Brady Bunch in the 70s, but the mix. And
although I do have to say, I love the gimmick of the Brady Bunch movie, where the Brady Bunch was still stuck.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That was that's why that
was
one was so well
hilarious.
done, because that was an interesting take. They gave you what they wanted, but they stuck them in there, and it added a whole new series of jokes that they could do. So that way they could get away with the familiar jokes without it making look like it did. The original Brady Bunch movie, the sequel wasn't as good, but the first one was, I think.
I thought the original Brady Bunch movie was absolutely brilliant.
It was great. I saw it a couple of times in the theater. I think actually it was that good, because I liked seeing the audience reactions to a lot of it.
Yeah,
but
that was hilarious.
Yeah, but So, but anyway, that's my point. So it's it's tricky to do a TV show, or or they could do it totally meta, like they did in Bewitched. It's like, so I think the Munsters kind of I think they had to go the way they did, or it wouldn't have really made much sense. So they kind of had to keep it around that time frame they did. I think, what was it? What did they consider? It was still in the 60s or something. The movie, I think.
I couldn't tell you. Yeah. I have no idea.
Well, because I think when they're in the neighborhood, you can kind of tell where everyone is. But anyway, overall, I mean, that's the best we could say. Just go watch it. And we didn't hate it. So
it's one of those movies you honestly have to watch it yourself. It's
enjoyable on levels. So
you honestly have to watch it yourself, because we can't explain it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. So the next one, though, I think everyone is in agreement. I haven't heard one bad thing about this movie.
We may feature this one.
Yeah, we may feature it. So I don't want to. Yeah, I agree. I don't want to touch too much on it. But that was Pearl. We both watched Pearl, and it's like now Ty West is in trouble now, because now you're expecting the greatness that you got from Pearl, and I thought Pearl was better than X, actually. I think a lot of people are feeling that way.
Yes, and I enjoyed it a lot more than X. Because my feelings on X. We did a whole feature on that, and I wasn't blown away by X, mainly because of the old age stuff just bothered me. And that again, like I said, that's a personal hang up. It wasn't necessarily the movie's fault. But I will say, watching Pearl made me appreciate X more. I think if I go back and watch X now, I'll be more tolerant of that. Yeah,
well, because now you know why.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, Mia Goth is and I saw it. It's starting a thing about how the Academy Awards noticed or made a tweet about it, and now it's around Twitter that people are, that in the horror community got hold of it, and it's circulating through there that Mia Goth, could she actually get a nod for this? I mean, I think that monologue alone is Oscar worthy. She does in this.
Yeah.
And like I said, we'll get to this later, because I have a feeling we're going to feature this as a movie. I thought this was is good. It was like the perfect prequel to a movie that just came out. It's so weird to have the prequel come out less than a year from.
And it's not really. It's so tonally different from.
X. Yeah, 100%. It's not even you wouldn't even think it was the same movie if you didn't know.
It almost doesn't even feel like a horror movie. Obviously, there's some horrific things that happen, but the majority of the movie doesn't even feel like a horror movie, because it's filmed in this. It looks like a 40s musical.
Yeah.
Is what it's filmed like. It looks like a 40s musical, and it's the color palette, everything just pops. It was so much fun to look at. I just was so entertained throughout, because I love those old movies. So, and I love those old musicals. So it really gave me that vibe the whole time. Yeah. And then to mix it with horror on top of it, that's just cool.
Oh yeah, no, same here. Next one, I don't know if you watched this. We got the screener of this, Tim.
No,
it just comes out by the time you're listening to this. This will come out, because as we're recording this, it comes out tomorrow on Shudder, and that's a Wounded Fawn. This was an interesting one. I'll read you the plot to it. It says, a serial killer brings an unsuspecting new victim on a weekend getaway to add another body to his ever-growing count. She is buying into his faux charms, and she's eagerly lusting for blood. What could possibly go wrong? And this stars Josh Rubin, who was in Scare Me. Remember how good he was? So good in that.
Yeah.
This is almost like a supernatural / psychological thriller, and it's so weird. The way this movie starts off, I expected it to go totally different than it did. And when it may just all of a sudden makes this turn, and it becomes this tour de force of from Josh Rubin of his it's like this serial killer meltdown kind of thing, and that's all I want to say because I want everyone to watch it and experience it. But it's just like it's gonna start off one way. I'm just gonna warn you. It kind of becomes something so different, and it's so well done. He's so good as in these type of roles. He's kind of like, you know how AJ Bowen has his type of role that he's always in, and you can watch the same type of role over and over with him. And it never feels old. I have a feeling that this could be Josh Rubin's type of role, this kind of a thing. This weird character kind of you don't know you don't know how to read. You got to read him necessarily. And he can carry scene upon scene by himself, kind of thing. So it's really cool. But it's definitely check that out. It's on Shudder. I think this is gonna get a lot of comments once this hits. I think a lot of people are gonna like this, especially because I think Josh Rubin got a lot of fans from after Scare Me. So
yeah.
Next one I can only talk about that I watched. The embargo is not till the 19th. It comes out, and this is a very, very highly anticipated sequel in the Scare Package 2, Rad's Chad's Revenge, which is a movie I never expected to have a sequel to the first Scare Package. Since I can't really talk about it, I'll just say the thing that I absolutely loved it, and that's all I'll say. And
Nice.
We'll talk about it later as it gets closer. But I wanted to just share that that I was able to check it out. Although I saw some reviews, but I think Shudder has its own embargo once they get hold of it. So
yeah.
But I'm sure everyone. I see nobody saying that they don't want to see this. They are super excited for this, especially because Shudder released publicly to their December schedule, which is an amazing lineup of stuff, including the Joe Bob special. And everyone was like, "Oh man, I forgot Scare Package 2. I can't wait.
Yeah, December looks way better than November, by the way, for Shudder. Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I'm gonna lead off with the one that I saw, this was suggested by so we had Daniel Kraus on the show a while back, and he has a great newsletter that he just started back up. And one of the first newsletters that after I subscribed was he was given some top 10 horror movies you've never seen. And I was like, oh, I know these lists. Yeah, and every single one of them I've already seen. I had not seen a single one on this list, I don't think. So, these were some underground picks. My hat's off to Daniel because I was like, whoa, I've never even heard of most of these. And so I found this one. The only place I could find it was on YouTube, and it's called Demon Lover Diary from 1980. I don't know that I would classify it as pure horror, but it's a documentary about the making of a horror film called Demon Lover back in the early...
I think I remember. The title sounds familiar.
Back in the late 70s, it was an independent, low-budget film. So there was a lot of behind-the-scenes footage of them going to make it. And this movie... I literally don't know how to describe it. It's like watching just a series of clips of people, crew, cast, just sitting around bitching about the director for an hour and a half, which sounds incredibly boring, but for some reason it was oddly captivating. And the director is so full of himself. He doesn't have the money to pay anybody. Everybody's pissed because they're not getting paid. You don't really see a lot of the actual... you see some, but you don't see a whole lot of the actual filming process. A lot of it's just behind the scenes stuff and people just working for nothing and they're tired and they're not getting any sleep and there's long hours. And then it ends in this kind of... I won't even give it away the ending, but it ends in this crazy batshit way that comes out of nowhere and then the movie ends. And I still can't wrap my head around this movie. It's insane. If you want to spend 90 minutes just going down this weird, deep cut rabbit hole, Demon Lover Diary on YouTube. It's a bad quality copy on YouTube. I don't know that you can even find this in any kind of good quality anywhere, but it's an experience. It's interesting. The big news.
Check that out.
Yeah, check that one out. It's crazy. The big news though is we have a new addition to the Civil Gore family.
Right? Yes, you do. And it's funny. I was gonna say that I was gonna put that on there, and then I saw what you wrote. I thought that was a movie. Before Demon Lover Diary, the way you wrote that, I was like, wait, he skipped a movie.
I wrote New Dog on the... No, New Dog is not a movie. I got a new puppy. Her name is Mia. She's an Australian Shepherd mix. I don't know what she's mixed with yet. We're going to have to do a doggy DNA test. I know her dad was I think 100% Australian Shepherd. Her mom, we have no idea what she was. The previous owner said that her mom was an Australian Shepherd too, but she has something else in her. Even the vet said she's got something else in her. But so this is the craziest story. So Anna has always wanted an Australian Shepherd. They're expensive dogs, as most dogs are, and we had always said, okay, well, after we move to the new house, we'll get a dog, and then we pushed it back. Well, let's wait till we pay off all the furniture first. There's always an excuse not to get the dog. And out of the blue, Olivia calls me and she says, my coworker just told me there's a couple giving away a 9-month-old Australian Shepherd puppy, and she's already housebroken. She's already trained, and they'll give her to us for free. So I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? And I was like, the exact dog Anna wants, and they're giving away for free, and it's already housebroken, and it's already crate trained, and it's already, this sounds too good to be true. And so I said, well, I can't just jump into this. I got to find out more. So she found out more, and what turns out is, my first thought was, well, what's wrong with the dog? It's got to be like either psychologically messed up. So it's like, this dog's crazy. It's tearing up their apartment. Like, something's got to be going on for them to give this dog up for free. And she's like, no, they both had to take on 2 jobs. They're living in a tiny apartment. She's an Australian Shepherd. She needs to have room to run and walk. And they just can't take care of her anymore. And so they just know she's not getting the best life. So I said, well, can we meet the dog first? Because obviously I want to see if this dog is freaking crazy. And so we arranged to meet them. It was about 20 or 30 minutes away. And we go to meet the dog, and she's amazing. She jumped right in with us. She was really loving. She had a lot of energy because she's a puppy, which is to be expected. She's a little bigger dog than I had wanted, because I always like small dogs. I've never had a dog that was larger than like 20 pounds. But she fit right in. So we took her, and now all of a sudden we've got this random dog, and so I'm kind of freaking out. And the first day we got her home, I'm fully expecting this dog to just destroy my house, by the way, because I've never owned a dog. And so we, the first day, like, the dog goes, Olivia left. Like, she became really attached to Olivia when we first got her. And so Olivia left for work, and this dog, like, whined and screamed for, like, 30 minutes after Olivia left. And I'm sitting here going, oh my God, this was such a mistake. Like, this was the worst mistake. Why did we do this? Like, I should have never done this. This dog's going to be a nightmare. And I kind of just had it in my mind. Well, it took all of about, she stopped after a while. After that, she was like good as gold. She was like, okay, mommy's gone. Next day, not a single problem. And I'm like, man, this is actually kind of working out. Now, I've had her for a week. Actually, 2 weeks now. Almost 2 weeks. And I freaking love this dog to death. I feel like I was like, why did I not have a dog before? I love this dog. She is super smart. She's super loving. She hasn't torn anything up. She has her little routine. She goes in to her little crate at night and sleeps. She goes and rides to the bus stop with Anna and drop her off. She knows what car ride means. She loves to get in the car and ride. She knows what walking means. She knows what sit, lay down. She knows all the tricks and everything. It's amazing. It's like it's like we magically got this like already preconditioned dog, like perfectly. You
got it fully loaded,
fully loaded, like fully prepped dog that would fit directly into our family for free out of nowhere. It's just insane how she's fit into our life just so seamlessly. So I'm really grateful for her, and it's I'm not gonna say it's not a lot of work because I've had cats, and cats.
No, dogs are work.
Cats you could just leave. Cats don't care. If you pay attention to them or not. So it's definitely an adjustment to be around something that constantly craves your attention. But at the same time, I've had so much fun with her, like going on walks, and it's gotten me a lot more active because I'm having to walk her all the time, and going outside and playing with her and stuff. So it's been an adjustment for everybody, I think, but it's been a really, really positive adjustment, and I love her to pieces. So I'll post some pictures on Instagram of Mia so everybody can meet the.
Yeah, that's right. You haven't I mean, I've seen pictures, of course.
Yeah. No, I haven't posted any on Instagram, so I'll post some pictures of her and see what everybody thinks of her. She's really cool.
Yeah, she's very cute. And Obi's very excited. He wants to meet her.
Well, Mia has not met a strange dog yet. I mean, she's best friends with or thinks she's best friends with everybody. So,
well, you since you've met Obi, you know he's very friendly. So he just left to play. So he would be very happy.
Yeah.
To
I think
play.
they would get along fine. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they'd probably be chasing each other all over the place.
Yeah.
Obi loves to get chased. So.
Oh, well, Mia could definitely fulfill that role for sure.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get into our main feature. We do our first shop would be pretty long. It's about 40 minutes. So
yeah,
we probably won't talk too much about this movie because, again, it's fairly new. We're not going to give spoilers, obviously, because a lot of people still haven't seen it yet. But we'll go through the housekeeping here. Obviously came out this year, directed by Parker Finn, starring Sosie Bacon as Rose Cotter, Kyle Gallner as Joel, Jesse T. Usher as Trevor, Robin Weigert as Dr. Madeline Northcott, Caitlin Stacey as Laura Weaver, Cal Penn as Dr. Is Cal Penn in everything these days?
I feel like it.
I swear to God, every show I turn on, every movie I turn on, Cal Penn's in it. I'm not complaining. I like him, but he's in everything.
I still find it so weird every time he's in a dramatic role, though. I don't know why.
Yeah, because I think of Harold Kumar. I can't Cal Penn, Dr. Morgan Desai, I guess I said that right. Desai. Rob Morgan as Robert Talley, and Gillian Zinzer as Holly. After witnessing a bizarre traumatic incident involving a patient, Dr. Rose Cotter starts experiencing frightening occurrences that she can't explain. Rose must confront her troubling past in order to survive and escape her horrifying new reality. And I did not see this one in the theater. I watched this one when it came out on, was it Paramount?
Paramount. Yeah, same with me, yeah.
So, I actually watched this one by myself. Olivia didn't watch this one with me, but I was looking forward to it because it was one of those, I use the term mainstream because it had a big theatrical release, and it was very buzzed about kind of in the mainstream.
A lot of crazy, promotion for that.
Yeah,
With the people in the baseball games, they would have them, pose. Yeah,
it was very, that's another reason I call it mainstream because it was very, very marketed by the studios. So I was very much looking forward to it, and I have to say, I don't want to say everything I think about it, but I'll have to say I liked it. I didn't love it, and there's a reason why I didn't love it. But I'll see. What was your take, Brian?
So and I know that there's a point we'll make that we both agreed on that you'll probably get to after, but I enjoyed it. I thought though. And this is, I don't know if it's a knock on the movie per se, or it's just I've seen because of the comparisons we had to some other movies, which we'll probably discuss. But I kind of thought it was predictable. And, for a movie like this, it shouldn't have been. There should have been, and this is not, again, it's like I enjoyed it. I thought it was creeped me out in a lot of things. It had, visual creep fest, which was, I think, its strongest point. And, and actually Sosie Bacon did, I thought, amazing job. I thought she was great, and Kyle Gallner was awesome. Those two were, I think, really strong. It did a great job in the movie. So I don't want to take that away from them at all by saying, it's only the creep factor. But I think besides them, I think the biggest thing about it that everyone remembers is how creepy it is. Here you take something that's supposed to be this thing that it's as long as you smile that'll make wonders, or people will find their significant other because their smile just blew them away. And here they take something like a wholesome thing like a smile and make it sinister. So, and the way they did it, I thought was all the things in it were creepy. I thought there was a lot of moments unsettling, but still, it's like I predicted it. There's one sequence, I'll tell you off thing because I don't want to spoil it for people that don't get it, but there's one sequence that's I saw it coming a mile away. And I'm like, it shouldn't be that way for, and I'm not trying to criticize the writer on it either, but Like, you know, because I don't know, you know, we sometimes take for granted, like, we've seen so many things, but maybe the writer hasn't, you know, maybe they did, you know, we don't know, like, all the different, like, you know, the backstory to these things. So what we may, you know, take, you know, like, we may make that assumption that, oh, he should have known that this is just like this, or maybe he should have done this way. But maybe to him, you know, he didn't know that, like, every horror fan might see this particular thing coming, or every horror fan is going to go, oh, well, you know. So I, you know, that's the thing. So I don't, you know, that's why I'm, like, hesitant a little bit in the way I'm going to, you know, to critique it that way. But, I mean, there was some stuff, though, I'm just like, oh, you know what, this is going to happen, isn't it? And sure enough, it happened.
Yeah, and Parker Finn, this is his first feature film. He did a couple of shorts. One of the ones is that this was based on. Yeah, and
I'm pretty sure I saw that. You know, I mean, I always, like, hunt out all the shorts a lot.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of not a huge resume in terms of writing, directing, which I thought he did. I mean, from a directing standpoint, there's nothing wrong with this movie. It's fantastically done. And like Brian was saying, I thought you brought up a good point, was that there's some really creepy stuff in here that even when I knew what was happening, the scenes themselves were still effective.
Yeah.
So I can't fault the movie for that. There's some very effective. I mean, that first opening scene where you first see the smile, I guess, which I'm not going to give anything more away, was really, really intense and very, very creepy. I really liked it. And I thought at that point that I was going to really like this movie much more than I eventually did. But because based on the effectiveness of that first scene. But yeah, like I said, this one, not only predictable to me, oh my God, I can't dance around it anymore. It feels just like It Follows,
right?
But not done as well.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. To me, it was like a hybrid of It Follows and The Ring. To me,
yes, yeah,
and that's what and there's nothing wrong with either. I mean, It Follows one of my favorite horror movies of all time. You know, it's like it was one of the. I think just it's still, as much as people love it, I still don't think it gets enough.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. And maybe if I'd never seen It Follows, which a lot of people haven't,
right? And remember, remember this, like we said. This was more of a mainstream horror, so a lot of people going to see this don't see everything that we see either.
Right. So I guarantee you, the majority of people who went and saw this and loved it have never seen It Follows. Yeah. So I could understand why you would love it, because you'd probably get the same feeling from this that we got when we first saw It Follows and thought it was brilliant. So, but It Follows, like Brian said, that's one of my favorite horror movies, and I'm a really big fan of it. I've seen it multiple times. I've analyzed it multiple times. I've watched commentaries on it. So I was super familiar with it going into this, and the whole time I'm watching this, I'm distracted because I'm thinking, well, that's just like It Follows, and that's just like It Follows. And then probably the most egregious thing is towards the end, there's a scene which is almost directly lifted right out of It Follows. I mean, almost directly lifted out. Brian, I'm not going to say it. I'll mention it offline if you don't know what I'm talking about. And that's when I'm
sure I know.
That's when I almost like wanted to turn the movie off.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's, I think that's, you know, and like, part of me is like saying, is it an unfair knock what we're doing? Because, you know, it's like, because It Follows was definitely not as mainstream as this. Like, it did not have the kind of promotion that this had. Like, you know, and this also has the weird whole pandemic-y thing where people are finally, everyone's going back to theaters now. Everyone's going, so it's like, you know, it's like they had to promote, they had to do all the things. So everyone was excited to go see horror movies in the theater again. You know, I mean, a lot of people have been for the last year, but you know what I'm saying? Like, now it's like almost just about everybody. You know, theaters are back to what, you know, maybe not pre-pandemic levels quite yet, because I think,
yeah,
but you know, just the theaters. We lost a lot of theaters, I think, throughout.
I feel bad. I don't want to bash the movie because, like I said, I found it entertaining. It's not like I was watching the movie and going, man, I'm bored with this, or that.
It's never bored.
I was never bored. I was
yeah.
very entertained throughout, and I can see why people liked it. Just for me personally, I didn't love it because of the fact I knew where all the inspiration was coming from, and I felt like it was a bit of a ripoff. I'm not saying it was a ripoff. I'm saying it felt to me like it was a ripoff.
Yeah, and it's hard to, because I think maybe because even someone that maybe has seen It Follows, but maybe not as hold it in such the regards that we do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's hard. I mean, that's like if you take one of your favorite movies, like just anybody listening, take one of your favorite movies, and then imagine someone made a movie that was different, but literally had the same beats to it and the same,
Yeah. Well, the other thing too
would you
is
feel a little like, wait a minute, Yeah. So it's hard to for us to kind of separate that a little bit, but like I have a feeling though, if I like you said earlier, if we didn't see It Follows and we didn't hold it in the high regard we did, I think we would have had a different feeling about this film. I think we would have been possibly blown away the same way we were with It Follows, because but I think since we've seen I mean, both of us have watched It Follows
and The Ring, like you said, there's a lot of similarities with The Ring.
I mean, that whole thing where there's like a time constraint and there's, someone doesn't believe all that same stuff. It's like, other than the creepiness and again, I don't want to take away, because Kyle Garland, remember, we loved him in The Cleansing Hour.
Yeah.
He was great in that, and he was in Scream. So he's getting some good horror cred here. So, and he's really good. I thought he played the role, but I mean, tell me his role did not seem almost exactly like, was it Martin Henderson, right? From The Ring?
Yeah. I mean, so here's the thing. I find it hard to criticize it on that level because there are so many horror movies that are derivative of other horror movies.
Right.
I mean, just look at zombie films, for God's sake. I mean, there's tons of zombie films. So,
and we don't mean Rob Zombie films.
No, not Rob. But so it's not unusual for a horror film to come out that's similar to another horror film. It happens all the time. I mean, look at how similar slashers are. I mean, they almost follow a template. So it feels funny to me as a horror reviewer reviewing this and going, well, that's a problem because it's similar to another horror movie. But at the same time, you can't, maybe it's too fresh. It Follows just too fresh in my mind, but it's just so similar that it was distracting. And I don't find that in a lot of other movies because those movies have become like archetypes, like slashers. That's kind of you kind of expect it going in that it's going to be this archetype. It Follows was kind of a different type of movie. It didn't really follow any of the archetypes that we're used to. It wasn't a zombie movie. It wasn't a vampire movie. It wasn't a ghost movie. It was something completely kind of fresh and different. So when this one, that similar, it catches my attention because it's not an archetype. It feels like it's ripping something off that was unique and fresh,
Right.
So now it doesn't feel unique and fresh. So the saving grace, though, is it's so well done. I mean, the performances are great. The scenes are creepy. It's really well directed. So I don't want to bash the film on that level because it's actually really entertaining. It's a good movie.
It's a good movie. Yeah,
it's a good movie.
Just there's nothing wrong really with the movie itself.
In the hands of a less capable director or worse performers or anything, this movie could have been really, really bad. And instead, somehow it even rises up above its kind of similarities to other movies just by virtue of being really creepy and really frightening. So I don't know. You'd have to watch it. I would be very interested to hear from our viewers that maybe had never seen It Follows or maybe doesn't have the same attachment to that movie as me and Brian do.
Yeah,
and tell us what you think.
Some people think It Follows is okay, and it wasn't for them. But
there's a lot of people like that. Yeah, there's a lot of people that don't like.
But yeah, I mean, people to me though. I like you and I, felt it's just so it was such a unique thing, and it was super creepy, and it's like it kind of put Micah Monroe on the map a little bit, and it had, and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things in it, and again, it was like so such a different thing. So now And another thing with this one, I have, even with the predictability factor of it, I think there's some things that I would have, even without It Follows and without seeing The Ring, I think still there was a couple of scenes that it was just being a horror fan, I think were a little predictable. And I'm not trying to say that there was a wrong decision. It was just it's hard when you see so many horror movies, you start to, you easily will see, you can guess, you can make a much more educated guess at what's going to happen at something.
Yeah,
so I didn't want to make it seem like it was lazy writing, that it was so easy to predict. No, it's because I've seen a billion, horror movies at this point. So, there's only a couple of ways it could have gone.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you the scene I'm talking about in particular when we're done. I bet you probably thought the same thing. So
I'll give Parker Finn a pass on this one because he's done a couple shorts. This is a first time feature. I thought he did a bang up job.
Yeah.
And it's the whole. I've got some problems with the similarities to other movies, but again, it's the first time feature. I want to keep an eye on this guy and see what he does next because you see a lot of first time features and directors. They have to kind of go by what's been done before. They haven't had time to create their own voice and this kind of thing. So this was good enough that I'm interested to see where he goes from here. Maybe when he gets a chance to do something a little more original.
Right.
See how it comes about.
Yeah, and plus, I mean, if the worst thing you're going to say about a movie is that, like, it was similar to this.
To a fantastic movie.
I mean, is it really is that egregious of a thing? No.
Yeah.
I mean, he probably, like, just like us. Like, I'm sure, movies, if you and I ever had the opportunity to write and direct a feature film, I'm sure people would find some similarities that we might even put in subconsciously, not even realizing.
Yeah. And our entire podcast was ripped off Coaster Radio anyway. So.
Yeah, I mean, so look, who are we to talk, right? But,
so we did the
but
same
yeah,
thing.
and we're not by any means, I am not recommend. I still recommend this movie highly because it's incredibly enjoyable regardless of any little nitpicks we've had with it.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see what our beer pairing was for this week.
So I did find one. It's called "Smile My Guy," and it has kind of like its own little subtitle there of a happy hoppy IPA. It's from the Bronx Brewery, which actually Julie and I get a couple of regulars. That's like some of our house beers we get from Bronx Brewery there. Well, they're definitely a craft brewery, but they have there's a couple of things that like our local Costco has that we always kind of grab in a 12-pack. Just as to have, it's kind of like a house beer, which is definitely your above average house beer. Bronx Brewery is really good. Anyway, so it's 5%. It's light body citrus hops, happy vibes. It says a craveable, crushable any time of the day IPA brewed to put a smile on your face, featuring Perico Limited's iconic "Smile My Guy" design on the label. And if you look it up, you'll see it's like a yellow can with a smile on it.
There you go. Yeah, 5%. That's one.
Yeah,
you can definitely.
I'm sure, and you have enough beers, it'll put a smile on anyone's face. Right?
Yeah. You just have to drink a lot of those.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sounds good though. Citrus hops. So.
Oh, any Citra hops or citrus type hops. Just say the word and hand it to me.
All right, so fan topic food. We need questions.
Yeah, we did get one, but it was we kind of answered it in a in the email by mistake, like not like force a habit, like we just replied to the email and then realized, oh shoot.
Yeah. So. Send us your questions. We'll do some off-topic stuff.
Sneeze there, sorry.
And I think we are probably. I guess we got to do some Christmas movies, Brian. I hate to go through December.
I mean, there's some good new ones we have not seen, so I think we definitely have plenty to choose from. I think this year
we were originally probably gonna do a Christmas movie for this episode, but with the holidays and having to take a break from the week off, we decided to just do one we'd already seen, so we could. And it's one I wanted to talk about because while it's still kind of fresh in everybody's mind, which is one of the big releases, Smile.
Yeah.
So
and plus we had the Dismemberment. We had the little interview, which by the time you listen to this, you'll have heard already a fantastic interview about a really great movie we discussed called Dash, which I think that interview is fun.
Yeah, we gotten a ton of great interview opportunities recently too, which is kind of shaking things up a little bit. So we kind of have to work around that in our schedule because anytime we do an interview, I don't want to say it's taking away because we love doing the interviews, but it does take up time that we would have normally used for like recording an episode or something. So it does require some shifting and stuff of schedules when we have to do this. We do have another great interview we've got lined up next week. I am super excited about. That I think you guys are going to love. I will put it this way. I'll give you a hint. It's a job role that we have never featured. We've never had an interview on the podcast with somebody who does what this person does.
And it's surprising we haven't, based on when you hear who he is and what he does, you'll be like, oh my God, how have you not had someone like that on already by this point?
Think back and think of somebody that's not an actor, not a director, not a producer, not a scare actor, not an author.
Yeah.
And it was definitely a first time, so I'm really super excited. If you know my hobbies, you'll know why I'm super excited about that one. And we'll also have our video December Dismemberment. We're going to try this on video for the first time. Of course, you guys listening to the audio feed will still get the audio feed, so you don't have to go search out the video if you don't want to. Unless you really want to look at me and Brian's pretty faces for an hour and a half.
Yeah, so, some people might, and it is a horror podcast after all, so maybe you'll like that.
But we thought that it might be fun to put these on YouTube because weirdly enough, our Dismemberments on YouTube get a lot of traction.
I do think it's because people think they're going to be video.
I don't know. I don't know. But they watch them. I mean, I don't know. I mean, apparently they watch them. So I don't know what that's all about. But I figured, well, hey, if people are going to watch it on YouTube, let's put some video with it. And it will also give you a chance for you guys that have never seen us actually do a recording to just see us watch here and talking to a microphone.
Yeah, or whatever. You'll see how my hand gestures are flying off as if someone's watching me.
I mean, I want to. Eventually, my goal is if I can learn some video editing. What I would like to do is when we do these dismemberments, when we do these, that I would like at least be able to like flash the cover art up there on the screen or something while we're talking about it, or flash it up there as when we mention it the first time, just for some kind of little visual flair. So, and then maybe if you do like the video stuff, we could look into doing some more live recordings or live shows or whatever you guys want to do.
Yeah, I mean, because I think that's definitely. I mean, I see other some other YouTubers that that do their shows, and that's essentially their podcast. Is they do it on the video medium, and it might be good. I mean, yeah, they might have a little bit more they're more established, so we'll try and tap into that. I mean, we're definitely more of an audio podcast, and that will still always be our main thing.
Yeah. The nice thing is though, if we do decide to start doing video, we can always release the audio in the audio feed.
Oh, so
yeah, that'll never have to go away, even if we decide to do the podcast in video only. I mean, do all of our podcasts on video. We could still put everything in an audio feed for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, and think of like the Mike and EB, for the Coaster Radio, they have their live look in every week, and you still get their podcast. If you can't make it, you don't miss anything. You missed a chat, but they even show that, and you can follow along. So
so that might be something cool to think about. So I don't know. We're thinking about we're kicking around ideas for season 7 coming up quickly.
Yeah, we'll probably have our usual multi-week, maybe 2 or 3 week break coming up at the end of the year, just so we can recharge, plan, because that first episode back is always like a list of upcoming things. I don't know. I think we might even change that a little bit. I'm thinking because that I mean, as fun as that is to do, it is a tedious episode.
Yeah,
just going through things like that. I'm wondering if I can fine tune it, maybe the top 3 of each category or something.
Yeah, I think it's so instead of just listing off of.
Yeah, I never want to stay stagnant. That's the one promise I think Tim and I always made to each other. We want to stay consistent but not stagnant, and there's a difference. Consistent in terms of content, but don't want to stay stagnant in terms of the same way we bring it. That's why we tweak things all the time.
Yeah, and I like to tweak things when I feel like I'm getting bored of them.
Yeah,
because I feel like if I'm getting bored, then definitely the listeners are getting bored of it.
Yeah,
so
I mean that's how that whole main dismemberment switch came, and I think that's one of the best things we've ever just decided.
Yeah,
because it would slog the regular episode down, and imagine now, with somehow so many discs being released. Imagine that November an episode, or no, it's October. Imagine every October episode would be an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes long, because we'd have all the discs in the middle of it.
Yeah, no, I think we got some cool stuff coming up for season 7, and I'm just so excited for how.
Oh, we might still do a Christmas roundtable. We might still do something fun like that. We might throw that in there if we can get that worked out.
Oh yeah, we have to do that. We got to do our holiday party roundtable. I think it'll be a lot of fun. But I'm just really excited and grateful for all the opportunities we've had for interviews.
Oh my God!
Here recently, it's just been amazing. Some of the people we've met are just awesome, and that's one of the things that really keeps us going in the show. So I definitely want to keep that momentum going into 2023, into season 7, and I want to. I think the video thing is going to help a lot. I think the video thing is going to help us grow pretty big, because anytime I think you can add video, and that's what most people gravitate towards. So if we can get a YouTube presence that's somewhat consistent, I think it would be a huge boon to the podcast. And I know we're a little late to the party on that, but
yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of people out there that want to see if you have the dulcet body that matches the dulcet tones.
Well, I need if I'm going to get a dulcet body, I really got to start walking Mia way more than I currently am.
Seriously, I know. Same
oh my
here.
God, dad bod really starts to take over when you hit your 40s. But,
does it ever?
All right, guys. Well, we will see you back here soon. Well, actually, as you're listening to this, you can tune in for that December Dismemberment tomorrow, and we'll see you back here for the next regular episode in a week.
See ya.